What if you could walk through the world untouched, not because the world is kind, but because your mind is impenetrable? What if no insult could trigger you, no chaos could shake you, no setback could break you? What would your life look like if fear, doubt, and anger no longer had a voice? If rejection, failure, criticism, none of it could reach the core of who you are? You see, the goal is not to live in a world without adversity. The goal is to become someone the world cannot disturb. Someone whose strength isn't loud, but still, calm, centered. Someone who moves like water, unbothered, unfazed, unbreakable. Let me make this clear from the start. Fear is not the enemy. Anger is not the enemy. Life will throw fire at you. Let it. The enemy is reaction. The true weakness is letting the world pull your strings like a puppet. Every time you flinch, every time you lash out, every time you spiral, it's not the world that won. It's your lack of discipline. But that ends today. This is not a motivational speech. This is a recalibration, a shift in the way you think, act, and carry yourself. Because your power doesn't come from controlling the world, it comes from not needing to. The moment you stop giving external chaos internal control, everything changes. People lose power over you, problems shrink, and your mind, your most valuable weapon, becomes razor sharp, clear, and steady. In the next few minutes, we're going to destroy the illusion of control, reveal the hidden cost of emotional reactivity, and give you a blueprint for becoming someone who lives and acts as if nothing affects them. Because when you reach that level, when you stop responding to noise, when your silence speaks louder than words, you don't just protect your energy, you dominate with it. So breathe deep, center yourself, and let's begin the transformation. From today forward, the world no longer controls how you feel. You do. We grow up believing that if we work hard enough, plan well enough, think long enough, we can control everything. But that belief, though comforting, is a lie. Life is chaos by nature. The weather changes, people change, circumstances shift without warning. The tighter you try to grip control, the more it slips through your fingers. And yet this illusion is what keeps most people anxious. They try to manage every outcome, every conversation, every emotion. They obsess over what might happen, what they should have said, what someone else is thinking. But here's the truth. The more you try to control what you cannot, the more you surrender control over what you can, yourself. There are only two things you truly own in this life: your actions and your attitude. That's it. Everything else, your job, your relationships, your reputation, your plans, is subject to external forces. Trying to control it all is like yelling at the wind. It exhausts you, frustrates you, and leaves you powerless. You must learn the discipline of detachment. Not apathy, not giving up. Detachment. The ability to remain calm while the world moves around you. The ability to observe without needing to intervene. The ability to let go of what you can't shape and instead shape what you can, your mindset, your habits, your response. Most people are so reactive they don't even realize how controlled they are. One harsh comment ruins their entire day. One minor inconvenience sends them spiraling. One rejection has them questioning their worth. That's not strength, that's slavery. You're not free if your peace can be stolen by something as small as someone else's opinion. But there's a different path, a path of internal mastery, where you shift from asking, how can I control the world, to how can I command myself? And when you walk that path, you begin to experience something rare: stillness, a calm in the middle of the storm, a power that doesn't come from domination, but from indifference to chaos. Understand this: control is not force. It is freedom from needing force. You let people be who they are, and you remain who you are. You let life unfold as it does, and you stay rooted. You stop trying to manage every emotion, every reaction, every outcome, and instead you become unshakable. Because the strongest man in the room is not the one who speaks the loudest. It's the one who doesn't need to speak at all. The one whose silence says, I am not moved. I am not rattled. I am not afraid. That's the power we're building here. And it starts by killing the illusion that you need to manage anything but yourself. Let the world do what it will. You stay still. Most people live in a state of constant reaction. They don't respond to life. They react to it. Like a pinball, they're tossed around by every word, every situation, every glance, every piece of bad news. Someone cuts them off in traffic. Anger. A text goes unanswered. Anxiety. A post online. Instant judgment. And with each reaction, they lose a little more power, a little more control, a little more of themselves. Reactivity is the death of personal power. Why? Because when you're reactive, you're not deciding. You're being controlled. You're not living from intention. You're living from impulse. Your emotions dictate your behavior. Your environment dictates your peace. And the result, you become fragile, easily triggered, easily thrown off course. You live at the mercy of everything around you. Think about how much time you've wasted because of reactivity. How many hours you've spent replaying a conversation in your mind, stewing over something that didn't even matter a day later. How many goals have been delayed because you were emotionally drained by drama that had nothing to do with your mission? How many mornings you lost to a restless night caused by something someone said online? The cost is immense. Not just in time, but in focus, in energy, in clarity. There's a simple but brutal truth. If your peace can be disturbed by external noise, your peace was never real. What separates the exceptional from the average isn't talent. It's emotional discipline. The ability to feel, but not flinch. To notice, but not overreact. To hurt, but not collapse. You don't become unshakable by avoiding adversity. You become unshakable by choosing stillness when adversity shows up. And here's something even more important. Every time you react emotionally, you are reinforcing a loop in your brain, a habit, a neural pathway that says, when this happens, I lose control. And if you don't disrupt that pattern, it becomes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as calm and focused, and you start believing you're just emotional. Just sensitive, just someone who can't help it. But you can help it. You can rewire your mind. You can train yourself to pause, to breathe, to observe without attaching, and it starts with awareness. Realizing that your first impulse is not your truth. It's a program, a default. But you are not your default. You are the driver. And the moment you claim that role, everything begins to change. Start small. When you feel yourself triggered, pause. Don't post, don't reply, don't react, just notice. Let the emotion pass through you like a wave, let it rise, and let it fall. You don't need to suppress it, you don't need to indulge it, you just need to witness it without letting it dictate your next move. And this is not weakness, this is mastery. Because anyone can explode, anyone can lash out, anyone can overreact. That takes no strength at all. But the man who can feel everything and still remain composed, that man is powerful. That man is rare. In a world addicted to outrage and validation, he becomes a fortress of calm. And that calm is magnetic. People feel it, they sense it, they respect it, because it's not a performance, it's not a facade, it's real, it's earned. It's the result of relentless self-discipline, the kind that says, I will not give away my power just because life tried to provoke me. You must decide today that your peace is non-negotiable, not because life will always be peaceful, but because you will be. Your power is not in your ability to control others. It's in your refusal to let others control you. So the next time chaos knocks at your door, don't invite it in. Observe it, learn from it, and then rise above it. Because while the world reacts, you will remain. Control your emotions, or your emotions will control your life. This isn't just some ancient Stoic wisdom passed down through dusty books. It's a reality that defines winners and losers, leaders and followers, the powerful and the powerless. Emotional control is not about pretending you don't feel. It's about ensuring that what you feel doesn't own you. Most people are ruled by emotional reflexes: anger, fear, anxiety, jealousy. They feel something, and without pause, they act on it. They speak words they later regret. They make decisions based on temporary feelings. They sabotage relationships, delay their progress, or abandon their path, all because their emotions dictated the moment. But the strongest men and women, the ones you admire, they don't react. They respond. They've trained their minds to create space between the feeling and the action. And in that space, they make powerful choices. Understand this clearly. Emotions are information, nothing more. They're not commands. They don't get to steer your ship. They simply tell you what's happening inside. But it's your job to decide what you do with that information. And when you make decisions from a place of clarity, not chaos, you move differently. You speak with precision. You act with calm. You rise, even when the world tries to pull you down. Think of a firefighter walking into a burning building. Do you think they feel fear? Absolutely. But do they let that fear control them? Because their training has taught them something critical. Emotion without control is dangerous, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. Now apply that to your life. Every time you let anger control your words, fear control your steps, or insecurity control your decisions, you're lighting fires where there should be progress. Here's the hard truth. Most of your suffering doesn't come from the situation itself. It comes from how you react to it. You get cut off in traffic. It lasts 5 seconds. But if you replay it in your head for hours, whose fault is that? The emotion was real. But the suffering? That was a choice. You have to begin mastering the art of detachment. Not from people, not from goals, but from the need to emotionally react to everything. The strongest mindset is not one that avoids feeling. It's one that feels deeply, but doesn't crumble under the weight. Think of a warrior in battle. The chaos is all around him, the noise, the fire, the confusion. But the warrior moves with intention, with calm. He knows the mission. He doesn't let the emotion of the moment consume the clarity of his vision. That's what you must become in your own life. A warrior of discipline, calm in chaos, focused in adversity, unmoved by the noise. And here's something else. Emotional control makes you magnetic. Because in a world of people constantly reacting, lashing out, blaming, complaining, and the one who stays calm, composed, grounded, that person stands out. That person commands respect without needing to demand it. Their presence speaks louder than anyone's anger ever could. So how do you build this control? You practice. You put yourself in situations that test you, and you train yourself not to flinch. When someone insults you, pause before reacting. When fear rises, breathe before deciding. When pressure builds, focus before speaking. This isn't easy at first. Your nervous system is wired for quick reaction, but with repetition, you rewire your brain. You create new patterns, and eventually, you become the kind of person who's not easily moved, the kind of person others turn to when things fall apart. Because when everyone else is losing their heads, you'll be the one who keeps his. Remember, emotional strength is not loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't need to prove itself. True power is quiet. It is presence without panic. It is composure without suppression. It is knowing that no matter what happens, you own yourself. And when you own your emotions, you own your world. So the next time fear knocks, the next time anxiety whispers, the next time your anger tries to take the wheel, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, I am not what I feel, I am what I choose. Indifference isn't apathy, it's not carelessness, and it's certainly not weakness. True indifference, trained detachment, is a powerful form of self-protection and personal mastery. It means you care deeply about your mission, your values, your growth. But you do not let external chaos, criticism, or emotion dictate your behavior. It is a discipline of the highest order. Most people live at the mercy of what others say, think, or do. One comment ruins their day. One glance of disapproval sends them spiraling. One failure becomes their identity. But the rare few, the unshakable ones, they've trained themselves to be emotionally independent. Their peace is not up for negotiation. If you want to become fearless, you must develop this skill. The ability to not flinch when the world tests you. The ability to remain focused when you're ignored, rejected, or misunderstood. The ability to move forward without external validation. But let's be clear, indifference doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't react. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about your purpose than your popularity. You're not cold, you're clear. You don't detach to escape reality. You detach to master it. Think of a boxer in the ring. When he gets hit, he doesn't panic. He doesn't stop to argue with the crowd. He doesn't whine about how unfair it is. He keeps moving. He keeps thinking. Because emotional outbursts don't win fights. Composure does. You must apply this to your life. Your arena may not have ropes or gloves, but it's a battlefield all the same. People will provoke you. Setbacks will sting. Life will push you around just to see how you respond. If you take it all personally, you lose. But if you train yourself to observe without attachment, to hear without absorbing, to feel without flinching, you become untouchable. Controlled detachment allows you to keep moving when others freeze. It gives you the distance you need to make decisions based on truth, not triggered emotions. And it keeps your energy clean, because when you stop reacting to every little thing, you stop leaking your power. So how do you train this? You start by identifying your emotional triggers. What gets under your skin? What distracts you? What pulls you away from your mission? Write them down. Get honest. Then expose yourself to them on purpose. If criticism bothers you, read criticism. If being ignored bothers you, put yourself in situations where no one notices. If failure rattles you, fail often, and learn to keep going. This is how warriors are made, not in theory, but in deliberate pressure. Next, practice the pause. Before reacting to anything, and pause, count to 5, take a breath, ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Is this part of the mission or a distraction? Most of the time, you'll find your first impulse isn't the wise one. That pause rewires your brain. It turns reactivity into response. And finally, remember this mantra. Not everything requires my reaction. Just because it happened doesn't mean you need to comment on it. Just because you feel it doesn't mean you need to express it. Silence is not weakness. Sometimes it's the highest form of strength. Because the world expects you to react. That's what keeps you in check. That's what keeps you spinning your wheels, emotionally drained, mentally foggy, easily manipulated. But the one who masters indifference, he becomes a storm in stillness. You want to lead, build something great, break through fear and create a legacy? Then train this muscle every single day. Refuse to be controlled by cheap emotions. Refuse to chase approval. Refuse to fight battles that don't advance your mission. When you no longer need applause, you move faster. When you no longer need agreement, you move freer. When you no longer fear rejection, you become dangerous in the best way possible. Because no one can stop a man who doesn't stop for anything. So start now. Begin your practice. When someone offends you, let it pass. When your ego feels bruised, let it bleed in silence. When the world tests you, smile, nod, and stay the course. Your detachment isn't indifference to life. It's allegiance to your purpose. And that is a rare, unstoppable kind of power. Chaos is inevitable. The world is unpredictable. People are unreliable. And life throws punches when you least expect them. You cannot stop the storm, but you can become the kind of person who doesn't flinch in the rain, the kind who doesn't collapse when everything feels like it's falling apart, the kind who is centered, even when the ground is shaking. This is not just mindset work. This is mental warfare. Because in today's world, distractions are endless. Fear is constant. And overstimulation is a daily enemy. So if you want to rise above average, If you want to command your energy instead of leaking it, you must train your mind to be still, focused, and unshakable. But let's be real, no one is born with this. It's not something you wake up with. It's something you forge. You create it the same way you build physical strength, through consistent, targeted repetition under pressure. The first step, learn to separate stimulus from response. This is what most people never master. Something happens, they react. Someone criticizes them, they lash out. Plans fall apart, they panic. But power begins the moment you insert space between what happens and how you choose to respond. That space is your superpower. In that space, you breathe. In that space, you think. In that space, you remember who you are and what you're here to do. It's in that gap, the moment between impulse and action, that your future is shaped. Because the reactive man, he's a slave to his emotions, to his environment, to the chaos around him. But the centered man, the grounded man, he is free. So how do you train this space? Start small. Every time something triggers you, a rude comment, a delay, a problem, pause. Breathe through the first wave of emotion. Label it. Name it without judgment. This is frustration. This is anger. This is fear. Why? Because naming emotions disarms them. It moves you from feeling to observing. And the moment you become the observer, you reclaim your power. Next, develop a daily grounding practice. This can be meditation, deep breathing, journaling, cold exposure, physical stillness. It doesn't matter which you choose. What matters is that you create a ritual where your mind learns to sit still no matter what storms are raging outside. And don't just wait for chaos to test this. Simulate it. Train under stress. Push yourself physically. Challenge yourself mentally. Create tension on purpose, and then practice staying centered within it. Navy SEALs don't learn to be calm during war by reading books. They train under fire. You must do the same with your mind. Here's another technique. Eliminate the drama. Cut it out of your language. Cut it out of your stories. Cut it out of your self-talk. Most people exaggerate their stress. They add fuel to their own fire. This is a disaster. I can't handle this. Everything is going wrong. That kind of language destroys your center. It inflates problems and shrinks your confidence. Instead, speak with precision, with calm, with clarity. This is a challenge, but I've handled worse. This isn't ideal, but I'll find a way. Train your words, and you train your mind. And finally, remember this. The storm is not the problem. Your reaction to the storm is. The market crashing, someone leaving, a plan falling apart, those are externals. They come and go. But the real battle is internal. If you can remain calm in chaos, you win before the game even begins. Because calm is not weakness. Calm is control. Calm is clarity. Calm is the edge most people will never have because they are too busy being ruled by panic, by noise, by every crisis that comes their way. You must be different. You must become the eye of the storm, where everything swirls around you, but you remain still, still in your vision, still in your values, still in your mission. So every day practice the pause, discipline your breathing, ground your focus. And remind yourself, Ari, I do not serve the chaos, I serve the mission. Let others panic, let others spiral. You move forward, quiet, clear, focused. That's the mindset that builds empires. That's the mindset that destroys fear. Because fear thrives in chaos, but it starves in calm. And when your calm becomes consistent, your power becomes undeniable. Let's get one thing straight. Being unbothered doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you've mastered your emotions so well that they don't master you. You still feel, you still care, but you don't let every thought, every opinion, every disruption hijack your peace. That's not indifference. That's emotional strength. That's power. The truth is, most people are emotional puppets. They're pulled by every external string, by someone's tone, a comment on social media, a delay in their plans. And when they're pulled, they react without thinking, without control, without awareness. That's how most of the world lives, on edge, easily rattled, quick to spiral, constantly explaining, defending, proving. But the person who becomes unbothered, they break that cycle. They step out of the game. They stop reacting to everything. They realize something essential. Emotions are messengers, not masters. And once you understand that, you stop obeying them blindly. Here's how the transformation begins. Awareness. You cannot control what you don't recognize. So the first step is to catch yourself in real time. When you feel that spike, anger, defensiveness, anxiety, pause. Ask yourself, what's really happening here? Most of the time, the trigger isn't the issue. The issue is the story you're telling yourself about the trigger. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your ego says, disrespect. Your body flares up. But the reality? It's a car changing lanes, nothing more. The meaning you gave it, that's where the chaos begins. This is the secret weapon of the unbothered. They detach from the narrative. They don't assign dramatic meaning to every situation. They've trained themselves to see things as they are, not as their emotions paint them. That doesn't mean they're cold. It means they're wise. It means they've learned that overreacting drains energy, burns bridges, and destroys clarity. And they refuse to give that power away. But here's the key. Emotional control isn't built during peace. It's built during war. You won't develop this strength when everything is going your way. You'll develop it when everything is not, when someone tests your patience, when plans fall apart, when the pressure is on. That's when you train. And in that moment, you have a choice. Do you escalate or do you observe? Do you respond from impulse or from intention? Do you match chaos with chaos or do you remain calm while others unravel? The unbothered don't seek revenge. They don't clap back. They don't prove points to people who aren't even listening. They simply move in silence. They protect their energy like a sacred currency, because they know every reaction is a transaction, and not every situation is worth the price. You must build this restraint. You must learn to pause when it's easier to explode. You must develop a stillness inside that no one else can access, not because you're hiding, but because you're rooted. Start practicing now. The next time someone disrespects you, pause. The next time life throws a curveball, breathe. Don't match the energy. Don't mirror the chaos. Rise above it. Not for them, for you. Because every time you control your response, you prove something powerful to yourself. You are not ruled by emotion. You are led by vision. That's the real flex. That's the power most never develop, and why most stay stuck. They let a single comment ruin their day. They let one delay unravel their focus. They let emotions that last minutes create consequences that last years. But not you, not anymore. You train yourself to be a fortress, to feel fully, but never flinch, to walk through fire, but never lose form, to hear the noise, but never lose your signal. That's what becoming unbothered means. It's not that you don't care, it's that you care strategically. You care where it counts. You care about your goals, your purpose, your values, not about petty offenses or opinions that don't serve your mission. And once you become that version of yourself, the one who isn't thrown off by everything, you become magnetic. People feel it, that calm, that edge, that command. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows who they are and no longer reacts to anything that doesn't align. So from this moment forward, every test is training. Every trigger is your teacher. And every time you pause instead of react, you build another layer of unshakable mental armor. Let the world be noisy. Let the chaos unfold. You stay centered. You stay rooted. You stay unbothered. There's a quiet freedom most people will never taste. The freedom of not needing to be understood. The moment you release yourself from the burden of explaining, defending, or justifying your path to anyone is the moment you finally begin to live. Why? Because most of your emotional stress, the frustration, the tension, the feeling of being pulled in 100 directions, doesn't come from life itself. It comes from your need for others to approve of the way you're living it. You want people to get you. You want them to support your decisions, to validate your dreams, to see what you see. And when they don't, when they question your choices or criticize your vision, you shrink, you overthink, you alter your path just to fit into their version of comfort. But let's be real. That's not living. That's performance. That's self-betrayal wrapped in politeness. And it will never lead to peace. The truth is, not everyone will understand you. Not everyone should. You're not here to be universally accepted. You're here to become the fullest, most powerful version of yourself. And that path will be misunderstood. It will challenge norms. It will offend mediocrity. It will unsettle the people who settled long ago. And that's okay, because the people who truly matter, the ones who belong in your story, they don't need constant explanation. They see you even when they don't fully understand you. They respect your conviction. They support your becoming. The rest, the ones who question, doubt, or try to mold you back into comfort, they were never meant to guide you anyway. Here's the harsh truth. The need to be understood is often a disguised need to be liked. You're not explaining yourself for clarity. You're explaining yourself for approval. You want people to say, "Ah, now I get it," so you can feel safe in their acceptance. But safety is not your goal. Growth is. And growth requires risk. It requires you to stand alone, to walk a path that others may not see, to trust your inner voice when the outer world falls silent, or worse, turns against you. So how do you break free? You develop the courage to be misunderstood. You train yourself to keep moving even when people whisper, even when they label you too intense, too ambitious, too different. Because in reality, what they're saying is, "You're making me uncomfortable by not playing small like I did." But you didn't come this far to play small. You didn't overcome the storms of your past just to sit politely in someone else's expectations. You came to rise, and rising requires silence, stillness, a deep, unshakable knowing that doesn't need to be explained. You don't need to broadcast your every move. You don't need to justify your every decision. You simply move with intention, with purpose, with peace. Let people misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them create their own narrative. You're not here to manage their perception. You're here to master your mission. Because when you stop needing to be understood, your energy becomes yours again. You stop leaking power through explanations. You stop seeking external applause for internal alignment. You stop waiting for others to get on board before you act. And suddenly, everything gets lighter. Your focus sharpens. Your confidence strengthens. Your identity stabilizes. That's what emotional independence looks like. You no longer need someone to get your pain to heal from it. You don't need someone to validate your vision to pursue it. You don't need to defend your priorities when they're already clear to you. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. And alignment is magnetic. The irony? When you stop needing to be understood, people begin to respect you more. Because power respects power. And nothing is more powerful than a person who knows who they are and moves like it, quietly, consistently, unapologetically. So today, release the need to be understood. Let it go. Let the world think what it wants. Let others misunderstand your silence, your drive, your boundaries. You're not here to explain your fire to those who fear the heat. You're here to burn, to blaze a trail so bright, so undeniable, that even those who once questioned you will be forced to watch in silence. And when they do, you won't be looking back, because you'll be too focused on the future you're building. Brick by brick, day by day, completely free from the chains of needing to be understood. There's a reason you feel exhausted, even when you're doing everything right. It's because your energy is being drained not by your goals, but by your attachments. By the invisible strings pulling your mind in 1,000 directions. By the constant worrying, what will they think? What if they don't like it? What if I mess up and everyone sees? That fear, the fear of judgment, the fear of disappointing someone, the fear of not fitting their narrative, it's like carrying a weight that's not even yours. And the truth, most people carry that weight their entire lives. never questioning it, never dropping it, just adjusting to the burden and calling it normal. But you're not here for normal, you're here for freedom. And freedom starts with detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you no longer let the opinions, reactions, and expectations of others dictate your direction. It means you are no longer emotionally handcuffed to people who haven't earned that power. See, the world teaches you to chase approval like it's oxygen. From the moment you could speak, you learned that applause meant good job and criticism meant do better. So you became addicted to validation. You based your worth on reactions. You began to shape your behavior to avoid disapproval, not to follow purpose. But here's the danger. When your self-worth is tied to what others think, your life becomes a performance. You begin editing your truth. You hesitate. You water down your message. You live in the shallow end of life, terrified of waves, because someone might not like the splash. That's not peace, that's imprisonment. The only way out is to detach, to look yourself in the mirror and say, I am no longer available for approval addiction. You start building a new way of living, one rooted in internal validation, not external applause. And it begins with one bold truth. Most people are too busy judging themselves to care that deeply about you. Their opinions are often projections, reflections of their own limitations, their own fears, their own regrets. When someone says, you can't do that, what they really mean is, I couldn't do that. And if you're not careful, you'll let their fear shape your future. You have to rise above that noise. You have to train your mind to recognize the difference between feedback and fear disguised as advice. Not all criticism is insight. Not all silence is rejection. Not all praise is truth. Detach from the noise. Anchor yourself in something deeper. Your mission. What do you believe in? What do you stand for? What kind of life are you building? And why does it matter? When your purpose becomes stronger than your need to please, everything changes. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop shrinking in rooms that can't hold your fire. And slowly, day by day, you stop caring what people think, not out of rebellion, but out of clarity. You realize their opinions are not your responsibility. Their confusion is not your burden. Their discomfort is not your limitation. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be aligned. And yes, detachment takes discipline. It's a daily practice. You'll feel the pull to justify yourself, especially when the people around you don't understand your drive. But that's when you double down. That's when you say, I'd rather be misunderstood in my truth than celebrated in a lie. Detach with grace. Detach with strength. Detach not to escape connection, but to deepen it with those who truly see you. Because when you let go of needing to be approved, you find your people. The ones who resonate with your rawness, the ones who admire your clarity, the ones who are walking the same courageous path. But you'll never find them if you're too busy playing the role others wrote for you. So tear up the script or write your own. Detach from the applause. Detach from the judgment. Detach from the need to be anyone but you. Because your peace, your real unshakable peace, doesn't live in their approval. It lives in your decision to be free. There's a power few understand, the power of presence. Not just being in the room, but commanding the room without a single word, without trying, without force. Just a calm, grounded presence that speaks before you open your mouth. It's in the eyes, in the stillness, in the expression that says, I am not rattled, I am not impressed, I am not moved. You see, the truly powerful don't advertise their strength. They don't need to, because their energy does the talking. And that kind of energy, that presence that feels magnetic, almost untouchable, it's trained, it's built, and it starts with the face. In a world of overreaction, the man or woman who stays neutral, composed, immediately rises above. When chaos hits, most people flinch. Their face betrays their nerves. Their body language collapses under tension. They show fear. They show anger. They show insecurity. And once that mask drops, the world sees the weakness, not intentionally, but instinctively. And that's when influence fades. But the one who stays calm, the one whose expression remains steady, whose energy remains unmoved, that person becomes the leader. Not always by title, but by nature. Because when things fall apart, people look to the one who doesn't. So how do you train that? How do you build a face, a presence that radiates control? It begins by mastering the reaction gap, that tiny moment between stimulus and response, when someone disrespects you, when something surprises you, when tension rises. The average person reacts emotionally, but the disciplined one waits. They don't show what they're feeling. No, not right away. They observe, they breathe, they choose their reaction instead of surrendering to it. This is not suppression. This is strategy, because not every feeling needs to be seen. Not every emotion deserves an audience. You start by practicing in silence. Notice your thoughts. Notice how quickly your face reacts to frustration or stress. Then practice neutrality. Not numbness, but composure. Look in the mirror. Hold your gaze. Practice delivering calm responses even when your heart is racing. Train your nervous system to feel the fire, but not show the smoke. Over time, this becomes identity. You become the one who doesn't flinch, not because you're fake, but because you've mastered your energy. Think of Navy SEALs. Think of elite athletes in high-pressure moments. Think of CEOs sitting across billion-dollar negotiations. Their faces are still, their voices calm, not because they don't feel the weight, but because they've trained to carry it without collapse. That's what earns respect. That's what makes you unstoppable. And don't confuse this for arrogance. Stoicism is not coldness, it's clarity. It's the refusal to let external chaos dictate internal peace. And when you walk with that energy, with that quiet, grounded confidence, people notice. They respect you more, they trust you more, because they see consistency, they see strength. But this isn't just for other people, this is for you. Because the more calm you appear, the more calm you become. Your mind follows your body. Your nervous system responds to your cues. And when you hold your frame, your energy realigns around that control. The truth is, life will test you, publicly, privately, unfairly. But your job is not to react like everyone else. Your job is to lead, even if it's just yourself, especially when it's just yourself. So the next time you feel the urge to lash out, to over-explain, to let emotion pour out, pause, breathe, ask, what would the strongest version of me do right now? And act accordingly. That's how you become the one who leads the room without speaking. That's how you become the one others can't shake. That's how you become the calm in the storm. Not because you avoid the storm, but because you are the storm, contained. Train your face, train your energy, train your presence. And watch how the world begins to treat you differently, not because you shouted louder, but because you didn't need to. That's presence. That's power. And that's the beginning of becoming truly untouchable. So let me leave you with this. You don't need the world to be quiet in order to find your peace. You don't need people to treat you gently in order to be calm. And you certainly don't need perfect conditions to walk with power. What you need is already within you. The discipline to pause, the strength to let go, and the courage to act like nothing can shake you. Because the truth is, nothing can unless you let it. The opinions, the noise, the judgment, the setbacks, none of it can touch a person who's chosen stillness over reaction, clarity over chaos, and purpose over emotion. You don't become untouchable by avoiding pain. You become untouchable by walking through the fire again and again and realizing it can't burn what you've already forged in truth. You are not here to be reactive. You are not here to explain yourself. You are not here to live small, fragile, and constantly triggered. You are here to lead, to rise, to remain grounded when the ground is shaking, and to move with such deep conviction that the world adjusts to you, not the other way around. This is how you begin to live as if nothing affects you, not by pretending to be unbothered, but by becoming so focused, so internally anchored that nothing outside of you holds the power to change your direction. If this message lit something inside you, don't walk away from it. Subscribe now because we're just getting started. And when you're ready to go even deeper, watch the next video. You're not just building a mindset, you're building a legacy. And it starts with this choice. Right here, right now. Stay grounded, stay focused, and never give your power away again. Act as if nothing affects you.